I think I'm here to welcome everybody for this webinar that talks about process journals. And this is to all the artists here. Do you agree that process is important over the product? I believe it's during the process that one learns all the skills. But how does one document the process? Is it important to document it though? Is a process journal just about documenting the process, or is it beyond? We would like to dive deep into this session today with our expert, Ms. Nia Arora. Thanks, Nia, for agreeing to share your expertise and best practices with all of us here. Thanks to all participants for joining us from different parts of the globe, from different time zones. I'm Ruchira Banka, the co-founder of Art Journal Foundation, and I take this opportunity to start with a brief introduction about Art Journal Foundation. With a vision to create and spread awareness about the importance of process of development of art, and an endeavor to create specialized pieces that integrate diverse disciplines, Art Journal Foundation aims to bring together resources and platforms for students and teachers to invoke creative thinking that leads to creation of a masterpiece. Art Journal Foundation supports the process, practice, and exploration of art across the globe. It believes art and culture are essential foundations to the community and a necessity for a more equitable and just world. On this note, I would like to introduce to you to our speaker for the day, Nia. She is a passionate and creative artist and educator with over 15 years of experience. She specializes in graphic design and printmaking and has a flair for experimenting with new artistic styles, particularly in digital art. She holds a bachelor's degree in fine arts and has worked with various artists in miniature painting and tie and dye. As an educator, she has taught at several prestigious institutions and is currently working with Genesis Global School. Under her mentorship, students have developed art portfolios to secure admission to various international art colleges. She has over 6 years of experience teaching the MYP and the IB Diploma Visual Arts programs. Nia has been a part of multiple ventures with Art Journal Foundation as well. And I hand over the stage to Nia.
Thank you, Ruchira, for a lovely introduction of me. Welcome, everybody. As Ruchira nicely said, that we are here to dive into to see what journaling is all about and how important is it. Journaling, it unlocks our creativity and it actually takes us through the journey, what we went through while we were creating the artwork. So many times we artists have seen that whatever the final masterpiece turns around, the process while we were creating it, that was the most joyful moments of our creation rather than looking at the final product. I believe most of you will agree how we explore and dive into multiple various things that we do, and we explore and we research about things to actually get that perfect artwork that we are looking for. Journaling art, I think it comes with that. It is about recording of your thoughts, your opinions, your dreams, your experiences, and observations through a combination of art and words in a journal format. You can write your journal daily, periodically, or when you feel the desire to do so. Journaling actually brings in collecting memories and bringing in various aspects while we are creating the artwork, and in many other aspects as well. There are different ways of doing creative. These are some creative examples of journaling. Art journaling is one of them, which combines writing and art to express emotion, ideas, and experiences through creative and colorful pages. Another form that comes with journaling is travel journaling, documenting travel experiences through writing, sketches, photographs to capture the essence of a journey and create a visual travel log. This is a very traditional way of doing a travel journaling. These days, we can consider our Facebook post and the Instagram post as the journaling area, which we use digitally to actually have our travel log going on. Bullet journaling is another part of it, where we make lists, we note down what is the system to track our tasks and goals and our daily routine activities, what we need to do and how we need to do. That comes under bullet journaling. Sometimes we get dive into gratitude journaling, which focuses on the positive aspects of life by regularly writing down things that you're grateful for and reflecting on the emotion that arise from this practice. This gives you a positive mindset all the time. Nature journaling. The people who love nature, they like to document things because there's so much to see and there's so much to learn that you can't remember everything. So nature journaling comes from there, documenting the natural world through writing, sketches, observations to deepen their connection with nature and develop a greater appreciation of its beauty and complexity. Recipe journaling. I believe a lot of ladies out here would understand when we say recipe journaling. You meet somebody and come around the recipe. You want to note down and jot down somewhere or the other so that you can go back to it and actually recreate these recipes as and when required. So recipe journaling comes from then collecting and recording recipes, notes, memories related to cooking and baking to create a personalized book for themselves. You can even find people cutting out some newspaper or magazine cuttings which has the recipes and put them together. Memory journaling, collecting and preserving mementos such as ticket stubs, postcards, photographs to create a visual record of life experiences and memories. So journaling is a big part which we can do, and in various aspects and in various themes that you can look into, and the journaling goes in. As an artist, I feel the art journaling creates a deeper sense of self-awareness, and it empowers us or inspires us and encourages us to move us into a powerful ways to how we want to deal with our art form. How do we want to make our art form further? The many benefits of art journaling comes out, it eases our stress. So many times your mind is filled up with so many ideas that you can bring out in your artworks, but you don't know what to do with it. Where to make the beginning, which one is the best one to go with. Journaling is something which helps you in removing that chaos that is coming to you. And if you put it down on paper and bring it out in your journal, it makes more sense. When do you start journaling? Journaling is the beginning of everything. Once you start thinking about an artwork, that's the right time to start your journal. When you're journaling, you need to begin with the ideas, brainstorm your ideas and think about what do you want to make? What is the theme that you're looking at for your artwork? This is very helpful when it comes to our visual art students of any curriculum for that matter. When they start thinking about what they want to draw, they don't even, they can't figure out where to begin. So this is a great space to start with to create a mood board. What is the main theme you're looking at? And then diversify into different topics. Within that theme, what are the different things that you can look into? I've made an example of 3 topics that they can look into, but they can turn up into 8, 5, 4, to whatever ideas are coming to their mind. Each topic or idea that they have brought out with the theme, they have to further segregate it to what kind of inspiration context they can bring in, what kind of symbols that they can use to depict that particular topic, what kind of inspirational artists they can look at to have style and genre coming into there. So they can develop this into multiple topics. At the end of it, one particular topic or one particular thing they will stick to, which they have the maximum amount of answers to, and they relate to it very profoundly. That is the one they will always go forward with. But this is not a waste. This can be used later. So journaling, when they have journaled this bit, this mood board can bring them down to more artworks in different ways. Maybe they can change the theme. Maybe they can tweak a little bit about the topic and then they can bring it out. So if they have this mood board with them, further in, they can actually use it to bring in more artworks. When we are looking during that art movement, what
And
artists.
Nia, would you like to repeat that? You froze in the middle.
Oh, okay. So I'll
Thank you.
start again with this one.
Sure.
So when they have decided what kind of style of artwork they would want to make, they would like to look into which kind of art movement that was going on, that the artists were working in that particular style, what time period was it, what kind of artworks these artists were creating, what kind of context they were using to take these inspirations. And these can actually bring in much more deeper understanding about the style they want to delve into. For this also, they can make some creative mind maps with lots of visuals. Now, because we are already decided what we want to do, so the more we draw, the better we're gonna get with our ideas and we can develop further in. When we have actually identified what kind of style and artists that we are looking in, you can see there are a lot of things out here. What you would like to know is, you'd like to know more about that artist. Why was this artist making these kind of, or why was this style more predominantly there in that particular time period? And learn these techniques. To learn these techniques, they will have to first research about it, find out what kind of mediums there are, find out about what kind of styles they were using, what kind of mediums that they were doing, were they exploring further in. These analysis, this artist research and analysis will help students to understand what more they can add for their own artworks. They can look into the techniques and inspirations that the artists were taking, and for analyzing artwork, they get to understand how the artist has built in the elements and the principles, what kind of textures they were creating, what kind of shapes they were using. They will have to look into all the formal elements and principles in that particular artwork. Remember that we, at any given point of time, the research is not everything. At the end of the time and end of the day, what is your understanding? What has the child understood, or whatever the artist is looking into, what have they understood and how do they want to analyze that artwork? That also can be a big part of the journal, so that you can go back and try to understand why we need this and how we're going to use it further in the artwork. Further in, when we have already have the ideas through, journaling would require your layouts, your ideas, your basic things, so that you can finalize and see which one looks the best. So many times we end up doing it on multiple sheets and multiple papers, which we eventually lose track where they went. If they are all put together in a journal, it shows the journey, your thought processes, and how you build through it. So layouts for the ideas, some first-hand sketches for the objects in the layout plan. Say you have planned to make a particular flower, have a first-hand study of that flower, have the flower in front of you, sketch it out, try it in various angles, try it with different mediums, try it with different colors. This develops their skills more profoundly. Exploring the mediums that can be used, they can be 3 to 4 minimum, or can be more. With complete artworks, they can do, say they have 3 to 4 ideas or layouts, they can develop into 3 to 4 artworks with 3 to 4 different mediums. Or they can have a detailed section going on, which has clearly and very neatly experimented with the mediums that they are looking for. Plan the color schemes. You can plan the color schemes going on in the journal, which shows why were you using these particular colors, what was the meaning behind it. Planning the backgrounds as well, that also can be done side by side. Journaling all these bits make a lot of sense how you're going to build through and create the final artwork. At the end of it, when you go through this process of creation, you realize that there were many places where you refined yourself. You changed a lot of things for a particular reason. Those kinds of annotations which are added into the process journal gives a deeper understanding and meaning and learning that you have come across during this process. Exploring the final layout. The final layout that they explore the process, how the artwork is going to come around, how much they would require the perspective understanding. You can see in the exemplar, you can see they have experimented with how the perspective can come through, what kind of textures will it build, experimenting with colors, what kind of colors and how they're going to mix, how they're going to place them. This is all is part of our learning, part of understanding and new skill development within the process journal. Exploring the first-hand objects. When we, these days, media is a big thing. Digitally, you can find any kind of pictures that can be looked into that you can use as references. But the best reference would be always to have the object in front of you. We as teachers, must have already seen, we as an artist, we have already explored how it is much more, the observational skills are much more deeper when we have the object in front of us, rather than a photograph or some other digital piece that we are looking at. So to build a better understanding of observation skills and how to build from it, it is much more profound with the first-hand references that we have for the inspirations. I would suggest, please ask the students to go more into first-hand references and first-hand drawings to begin with, rather than using some digital reference pictures. Experimenting with different mediums. Why is it important to experiment with different mediums? So many times we come across that a certain artwork created in watercolor would look much better, or with acrylics, it would create more texture and body to it. How do we make that decision? That decision making is crucial when it comes to when we are creating artworks. I myself, being an artist, so many times I have struggled with making, I can see that it is coming good with both the mediums, but I have to make a final decision on which one I should go with it further. So to explore that, making it firsthand, maybe full artworks or in portions. You can pick up some portions and they can actually test what kind of technique they would be using to see how it would look finally. This kind of experimentation, when journaled, we can always go back to it to understand, with those reflections that we have recorded on the art journal, that this particular medium was more subtle in many ways. Like in watercolors, it is very soft and subtle. So for the next artworks, you can actually go back to it and see, when I use the watercolor, it was much more softer. I can try this for my next one. Or maybe I want much more to do with the textures and everything and go for a mixed media artwork. So these kind of, the journaling does not end if you have made one artwork, does not mean whatever you journal during that time, it ends over there. It is something which you can go back to each time you plan a new artwork, because you have written it yourself, what works best for you, or what was the best learning that you got through this. If it is recorded, you can always go back to it and have a look at it. And it's a wonderful piece to actually go through. after some time, you open your art journals and have a look at it, and you will see how the whole artwork creates a different meaning for you when it was being created, other than what looks like at the end of it. So it's a very interesting piece to look into after the creation has been done. So many times students are asked to create an artistic intention. What is an artistic intention? It is the intention that you have to, what kind of artwork you want to make, or what is it that you want to make, what kind of message you want to pass on, to what kind of audience it is. How to write that artistic intention? It is, you have to look at the artwork or a brief, the final layout that you have understood what you need to do. It should comprise of what media it is, what kind of artwork it is, what kind of inspiration that you have taken, and what is the definite message you want to pass on to the audience. It is not that you can write it once and that should be the final piece. Artistic intention is further required at the end of the completion of the artwork, when you write a statement for the artwork to the finished artwork. This is the artistic intention you can look into and actually frame your artist statement very clearly from that. There's a description, there's an example that I have added in here, which is a description that explains the significance of an artist's oil painting. How does an artist write an intention for that? Then I use oil paints to disrupt the purity of the blank canvas with abstract shapes and lines. A feature very loosely interpreted seascapes and sunsets prominently. I have lived my whole life steps away from the ocean, and I find it the most meaningful inspiration. My pieces attempt to join the joy of abundance with color to create bold, bright, daring pieces. Living in Miami, I am no stranger to vibrancy and create works that transport others to this magical space. Now, if you see, this statement clearly tells us what the artist was thinking, where was the inspiration coming for the artist to create that particular artwork. That is why the intention, if it is written in this beautiful and explanatory words, when we are actually working on the artwork, you can actually see whatever is written verbatim here. It is visible in the artwork. It gives you a clearer picture, a clearer imagination to what you want to create. That is why the artistic intention is also very key to it. And always, journal is the right place to keep it, so you have everything together for you to go back to. Link your artworks. We can, in these curriculums, we should always ask the students to link their artworks to the artists and to record the development of ideas. Why the artists? Because that is where they picked up the inspiration from. That is where they picked up the skills from. They should acknowledge that and add details to show how artist has influenced you. While looking at different artworks, you do come across what, when, and how the artist was using certain colors or certain techniques. How that inspired you to use it. Did that make any impact on you? How you looked at the color used by the artist? All these things make a difference in making your decisions, how you create the artwork. Always choose a relevant piece of artist's work to analyze. There is no point in analyzing an artwork whose technique or color schemes or anything, that inspiration that you took from, it does not relate to, or you will not transfer it into your thing. There is no point in doing an analysis with that artwork, because then it would be just an academic thing that you have put together. where if you use an artwork, that you are going to use it as a relevant reference for your own artwork. While doing the analysis, you have a larger amount of learning going on, because when we break up the analysis in different contexts, the purpose of the artwork, the elements and principle used, the reasoning behind them, the context of the artwork, who was the audience the artist referring to, how did it make an impact on that audience. So these kind of things, when you read, you can transfer these kind of understandings in your artworks very easily. Always reread whatever you are writing or whatever you have finished, because sometimes the thought processes are so many, they are going on and on. You need to make sure that you have spaced out your whatever you have written in the correct manner and it is understandable. So don't use words that are not understandable. Look up what words mean, or you can the students can ask the teacher. Copy pasting, as we all talk about plagiarism, it should not be. We should have the information not copy pasted from anywhere. Information you should always rewrite in your own words. It is easier to understand that way, and we are not plagiarizing the work written by somebody else. Using websites, books, or the artist's own websites are the right places to go to look for the information that we are gathering for the research. Process of creation, images and annotation to record the process you went through while creating the artworks. The process of creation, images, again, why do we need them? If we have these images along on the process, sometimes we come across that we have made too many changes, and we need to go back to what we were initially planning or what we had initially started with, so that we can recreate it and bring it on back. These images, they come very handy. And sometimes we make mistakes while the students are making mistake while creating the thing, and they fix it. If they have images of the artwork that was a little haywire and they had to fix it, if they have both the images and they record what went wrong and how did they fix that particular bit. Say there was a smudging happened, they needed more texture, they had to pick up some color from there, which was access. If they click pictures and annotate these things and put it in that, how they picked up the color from there, how they added more texture to it, it would stay as a record for them to go back to and understand what did they do to fix that mistake in their artwork. And at the end of it, when you see them in progression, you can actually see the skills developing and building on to come to the final artwork that is created. Always ask the students to evaluate their own artworks. Why? Because so many times they feel they are done with it, they have finished, and they have actually, they really need to analyze, is it complete? Do they need to do more in it? Is it actually aligning with the intention that they had? They have to go through it again. Now, in this analysis of their own work, they can go through the same process as analyzing an artist's work when they look into what kind of skills and techniques they have used, what kind of elements and principles they have used, are the colors, even the color schemes, have they actually stuck to the color schemes that they have planned? Maybe sometimes the colors change and everything. They need to fix back. They can go back to their journaling bit where they were planning their colors and the color scheme to bring it on. Experiences you had in the process of development and exploration. This is the experiences that they have. They should write about how they're feeling about the artwork. Sometimes the kids enjoy and love a particular color that they keep on working on it. If they reflect around and annotate about how they're feeling about the artwork, are they feeling very happy about how it is turning about? Or are they feeling a little sad that the colors have actually become a little muddy, they need to fix it, and stuff like that? That all these kind of reflections, they are somewhere helpful to understand how to bring on and fix things, which increases their skill development very easily. Reviews and reflections to add new learnings. This again, if they review and reflect to whatever the new learning they have done, because creativity is an ongoing learning process. I don't think so anybody can say that I have learned everything as far as art is concerned. It's an ongoing process. Each time you experiment with the same medium or with a new medium, you will turn up and come around with something new that you would learn in that point of time. Recording it is a good space to have it in the journal. Conclude with what was the main learning from the experience of creating the artwork. Should always conclude with how do you feel after completing the artwork, and what is the best thing that you felt while you were creating it, or the best learning that you have got. So many times the learning is about yourself because it is a very internal process, and I feel it's a very personal process of creating artwork. And if they reflect with it, it's a good space to be in. Do you all want to start with want to do some bit of a journaling? So if you have some material with you, a paper or a notebook, can you, I would request everybody to do that. Can we have some?
The audience can unmute themselves or switch their cameras on so that we can interact on this.
Let's have some interaction. Let's see how the journaling can take us ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I've got some papers and something to write, show it.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. I hope everybody else are also bringing on a few things. Let's do, it's going to be a very fun activity, and at the end of it, you're going to feel good about it. So draw something that represents thoughts, emotions, tasks. It could be about a person, anything that comes to your mind. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? After you have drawn that tiny sketch, what you can do is you can write next to it. Does it affect your emotions? If it does, how? You can use the reflections, does not have to be only words. You can actually add more images to it. You can add more images, some words. Create as much symbols as possible. Change of colors. The colors also bring in a lot of emotions that we feel. What kind of color you're using? You have a bunch of colors in front of you, you'll pick one. And given any given point of time, you will pick one color. That means that depicts your emotions at that point of time, or your feelings at that point of time. It may be different if you pick it up at another point. You can illustrate some words if you think. Can I have you people, some people to share with me, switch on the camera and show us if you're making something which we can see, if you're okay with it. Or give us a thumbs up that you have done some bit of drawings.
I think we should have set certain essential agreements
I know.
as in we do in for a class. Cameras on, responses on. Yes, thanks, Janvi, for the response. Yeah. Yeah, no agreements, so no cameras on. True.
No agreements, no cameras. Okay. Remember, if you have drawn something, if you have written a few things about your emotion, do revisit it tomorrow morning, because you will be in a different frame of mind tomorrow morning to have a look at it and think about it. How did you express it today, and how do you feel about it tomorrow when you look at it with a fresh mind? Remember, you can always record your reflection as well in this. I think I'm open for questions. If you have any questions or anything you feel that I have not covered, which should have been covered, it would be good to hear from you people.
I have a question. Hello.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So nice to meet you. I'm Andrea.
Yeah.
I was wondering, during a presentation, you talked about the reflection process of the students and asking them, why did you choose this technique, or why did you choose those
Correct.
materials? And I
Yes.
don't know what it's like for other people, but I've taken some students who don't really have an experience in arts and they don't know any techniques. So right now I'm trying to, unit by unit, I'm going and trying to expose them to various techniques, but I'm trying to do this one technique at a time, so it's not too overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I'm doing that wrong, or how do you cover so much? Because I've seen the sketches being added. It seems huge. I don't know how to do how to get them to that point.
Yeah, so it is definitely, I can understand where you're coming from. It is very difficult. There are so many times students who do not have experience about mediums. So I would suggest, let's take it slow. Give them 3 mediums to explore. They do not have a background of it, but give them 3 mediums to explore and then let them reflect about it. They have done some bits, so they would have some understanding about it. And definitely they will have to repeatedly work over it, and they will have to use it much more to reach a level where you can say that, oh, they have really excelled in that particular medium. But the comfort zone should come from the student as well, because if the student is not comfortable with that particular medium, they may wriggle out of it. They may not actually invest themselves into that particular art piece, because if they're not really interested in that particular medium. So you're doing fine. Let them explore, but wait for the reflection. Let them explore initially. Let them do some small bit of sketches, some small bit of small artworks that they are enjoying doing. And after that, you can have them to reflect about it. How did they feel about this particular medium? Was it too tough for them to handle? Or did they find it at very ease, and they want to develop further into it? So the students will be able to tell you once they have actually explored all the mediums.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Ruchira, do we have anyone else?
Hello.
Hi, Nirav.
Hi, good evening, and thank you so much This was informative insight, wonderful session. I don't have question, but I observe something is very interesting, and then I want to emphasize on that. So can you repeat your slide? That can you go for the initial slide?
Just a minute. Which one are we looking for?
Initial slide where we are talking about particular traveling and all those, you know.
These ones. Yeah.
So yes. So what I observe, what I got, you know, idea during when I was listening, we started particular artwork journal for students like, you know, in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, like, you know, MBP 4, 5 or DP 1, 2, right? So
Yeah.
I feel we can, you know, give this practice not as a subject, you know, focus on our visual art subject, but as a regular practice, those who are keen, you know, in keen interest students in arts. So we can
Yeah.
give them this exercise. This is going to help them for higher study.
Correct. There is one more thing which happens with journaling is we are looking at art journaling. There are students who learn by writing.
Yes.
If they write it multiple ways, if you remember in our times in our schools, we were supposed to write everything first before we are start going to read. But that actually gave us one thing, that when you write it, you remember it more. So
Yes.
even in other subjects, if they want to do some bit of any these kind of journaling, even bullet journaling, the nature journaling category, the sciences can use this. Bullet journaling can be used by the mathematics people. So if they use these techniques, students can actually build their own journals for each subjects, and they can actually record what they are learning in the classes so that they can revisit. It's like notes for them. Bullet journaling is something like that. They can always go back and they can actually um, understand what they are doing actually in the classes, rather than just listening through the classes that they are sitting in. So if this journaling bit can get into other subject groups as well.
Yes. So this what, you know, gratitude journal, nature, recipe and all,
Yes.
traveling,
Yes.
this is going to help them
Definitely.
in future develop focus, particular focus art
Correct.
area. So when
Yes.
they make this, we can, you know, today I was thinking like, you know, listening, when I was listening, I thought I will inform my MBP teacher, we can start this not for artwork, for passion. So then they will get idea while working on this, and they can develop artwork for, you know, when they are in higher study or maybe in grade MBP 1, 2, 3.
Of course,
Going
these
to help
journals
a lot.
can be used till DP. Actually, if they
Yes.
start their journal in grade 6, and they can keep on holding on to them, and by the time they are in DP 1 and DP 2, they will have a huge amount of information for them to go back to.
And
So that actually it's gonna be a big asset for the students.
yes, and we need to make them understand this is not about result, about process.
It's about process. Actually, it's a beautiful process that we go through while we are creating it. That's what I was emphasizing on. We do like what we have made at the finished product, but when you look at this journal, you will see what kind of emotions and mood frames you were going through while we were creating this particular artwork, and it will be visible in the journal if they have been journaling properly. So it's the process is a beautiful process to go through.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great, Nia. I think related to what you were talking about, the MYP and DP, there is a contrasting question that comes from Janvi, which says, can you help us cover some differentiative points between scrapbook and journal, points which can help in explaining journaling, especially to the lower grades? And she also says, if you could elaborate on how to develop this habit between 5 to 8 years, you know?
Can
Okay,
I add
scrap.
some points, ma'am? Sorry to disturb. Am I audible?
Yeah, Janvi,
Yes.
please go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, I teach to lower grades, first to fourth. So the thing, I also have teachers, other art teachers with me. We are a total of 4 in our school. We teach to different grades. So the teacher who teaches to higher grades, they always plead me with like, Janvi ma'am, can you teach these habits to students right now only? Because
Yeah.
you know, when they reach higher grades, they'll be easily adjusted to the new techniques, because now they teach these kind of things the students are not already, used to it. They think of everything like, oh no, it's a new thing for us. So can you help me cover some habits like journaling, of course, but some sub habits in it for the lower grades?
So when we talk about scrapbooking is, I would say, a beginning of journaling. Scrapbooking is when they put things together and put it in a collage format. There, they are not reflecting, they are
Yeah.
not adding too many vocabulary into it. But when you get into journaling, you are actually putting in stuff. You can actually attach other stuff into your journal and reflect with it. If it makes relevant to you, whatever they are doing. For you, when you talk about younger students, I would suggest it would be a good idea. Scrapbooking would be a good beginning for them. Say, ask them to bring 5 images of one particular color for younger grades. So they will get those 5 things. They will be getting the images of those 5 things. Ask them to put it in their little art book or little diary that you can give them, and they will stick it over there in one color. Now, you will be teaching them color schemes with that because you've given them a color. And then next you can teach them what's a complementary color to this, so they can bring in the other objects. Now, when they are sticking those things in there, so that task you are giving is not about you have to color or paint. The task is they have to put it in the book. So the students get used to putting in the book. They can write with what color it is. What do you think about these objects? So you can give them small statements to write. When you have these, you can have 1 or 2 activities like this going on in and out, so that the students know that sometimes you ask them to put it together in a format. So I think this kind of scrapbooking will help them students to create some kind of understanding towards how to journal things. And they will learn new skills also. Say, for the younger kids, you can, I definitely know that you would be doing some kind of artworks with them. So give them small basic mediums and ask them to actually have a finished and very small artworks to finish with that one particular medium, so that the students know that they can and complete that. Because if you make them too big, so many times children are unable to complete their work as well. That's why they leave it in the middle. So doing it in small portions makes sense for the younger children.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the guidance.
Thank you.
There's another one, Nia, which says, how much opportunity should be given for digital tools and how do we assess them for higher grades like MYP 4 and 5?
My question would be, what kind of digital tools are we looking at?
Hi, Miss Nia.
Hi.
Good evening. Hi, Ruchira. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Vaidehi. My question was related to MYP 4 and 5. So currently these students are more into what we can say digital journaling. And what we say, as per MYP 5 e-portfolio, we encourage for the practical work. So the other day during my PTM, I had a parent who was very keen to know why do we encourage more of the practical thing and not the digital thing as in ideas when we present them as an ideas for the e-portfolio. So my question is, how do we, like, what is your this on it? What do you say? Especially for grade 4 and MYP 4 and 5 is what
MYP 4 and 5.
Yeah,
See,
because that is what we are preparing them for e-portfolios. So this is my question. Yeah, thank you.
So digitally journaling, I would suggest, is have a paper journal. Let them explore on the paper. At the end of the day, we are visual art. We are visual art. We are teaching them skills and techniques as far as visual arts is concerned. There is digital media which is allowed. The digital media, again, it is how much skills are they using? There's so much in these digital formats that they can pull images and clip arts and put it together as an art form. But if you see technically, they have not learned anything.
Right.
They have just pulled things together and created an artwork. So actually, if you see, there is no learning. So if there is an evident learning, say Somebody says that I will create a complete artwork in digital platforms, say Procreate or something like that, but they have to make it from scratch.
Right.
They can't have an image overlap and sketching over it. They are not
Right.
doing sketching. If
Right.
they are doing it from the scratch, now it becomes really tough for the teachers to validate. Did the children do it themselves?
Exactly. Yeah.
So there is a gray area there. There is a
My
gray
point
area.
was that how do we assess in case we have to assess it? It's very difficult. So
It is
what do
very
we?
difficult. No, it has to be either the child is sitting next to you and doing it, and you validate that the child made it in front of me. That is
Right.
the only way to do it. Otherwise,
So we don't
it is
encourage
very
it to that extent. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
not
Great.
to
Great.
that
Thank
extent.
you. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another one comes from Prudo, who says, how do you engage a class with advanced and struggling students? I think since we're talking about journals, we could relate it to how do you engage students with their journals when they're at advanced and struggling levels.
So differentiation we are looking at here, as far as I can see, advanced and struggling ones. So that will be clearly visible in the journals as well. You know, because if there is a struggling student, his quality of work or the level of the journaling would be different than actually really experienced and advanced student that is there in your class. You have to give them different kind of tasks. That is the only way. You give simpler tasks to the struggler, you give more complicated tasks to the one who has who's more experienced and is the high achiever. Anything else? Anybody else who wants to add to that? I feel that would be the best way to keep them engaged.
Maybe I can add a point here just by, you know, you could always keep encouraging them that whatever you've achieved is your masterpiece. It may not be compared to the others. So that gives them the motivation to be able to complete their own tasks. Like you were talking for the younger students to be able to complete tasks and get that motivation. Likewise, anyone who does it at whatever level, just feel that this is my masterpiece, this is the best I could do at this point of time, and compare it to the previous work. And that's how journal helps, because it gives you a insight into what you've done in the past, how far have you improved. That is what the when you're assessing through various curricula, not only IB but any other curricula, a journal shows you the journey of how have you improved. And any curriculum, be it at school level or be it at university level, is looking at how kids are improving with their skills, with the subject specific skills in a journal. Reflections talk about it, and always there is an improvement that is seen there.
So I will add in here, talking about a struggling student. I had a struggling student in my class who came back and he said, I can't draw perspective. I said, really? Let's look into the journals that you have. And we went back to, this is MYP3, grade 8. And he said, but I did make some perspective drawings when I was in grade 6. I said, do you have the drawings with you? They said, yes. And then he brought that old art book next to me, showing me that this is what I had made. I said, this was fantastic. Why do you think you can't make this over again? He said, Menka, can you explain it to me what you did to create this? And he had everything in his mind. He knew what he did to create that perspective. Menka, see, you have said it yourself. I don't have to tell you how to do it. Try to do it again. What you did then, do it again. Now here, if I say that art book, that journal became the key or a learning point for the student. He could go back to it and actually refresh his memories to what he had learned in grade 6. Now he felt that he had actually forgotten about it in grade 8 and was struggling with it, and he could manage it. So journaling actually builds on and brings in, see, achievement levels are also there. The student can see himself that I have created this earlier and I can do it again. So journaling helps in many ways. Any more?
I have another question actually.
Yes.
How do you plan for the journaling? How do you include it in the lessons themselves? When do you give
So,
the opportunity for the students to work in the class, or how much do you ask of them to do at home, or how does it function for you?
so as far as beginning of the journal, beginning of the unit means beginning of the journal. They have to start recording whatever they are doing. They have to start recording it into their journals. They have to write there. They have to make drawings. They have to do it. And once they are into more of development phase where they're actually exploring skills and everything, we need to give them a little room to work on their artworks. Maybe ask them to do 5-10 minutes end of the class. Just ask them to note down quickly what they did in the class and
Yeah.
add it to the journal, so that it is not too much for them to do and it is not left behind. So last 5-10 minutes, ask them to quickly wind up what they did in the class and where they need to write some reflections, how did they do this, or if there was something new that they experimented. And sometimes when they're experimenting, I ask them, this is a wonderful thing that you are doing. If they revisit something or they redraw something, say this is a good thing to have it journaled. Record it, write a tiny statement there and record it, what was missing in it that you added now. So that journal keeps on. It's an ongoing book. It's a live book that should keep on happening.
And how do you train this habit in, because the person previously was asking about the younger study. I don't know how to pronounce your name, how to teach the younger children, but how do you teach the habit with, I mean, the problem with my students is that I don't know if they're lazy or they just don't really understand the concept, but they struggle a lot with interacting with their journals. They don't want to draw, they don't want to write, and you know, how to motivate them.
Totally agree with you. Yeah, it is very difficult. I am struggling with my students, so please don't feel that. So we are in the same boat. It is very difficult. That is why we are doing this, so that we as a teacher community, if we come together and if we bring it on and we push it to the students, that journaling is important. Bring it on as much as, and at younger age if we can begin, because now what students are doing, they finish the artwork and then they sit with their journals and think, oh, this is what we did, let's just read it, and it becomes so shallow. Unless it is done side by side, it doesn't become soulful documents to read and understand what the student was going through while he was creating that artwork. I totally agree. We can just do it. We can just ask them to do it every day. They will never do. We'll ask
that's
them
what
to
I was thinking now. Yeah. What if we have a few tasks and right in between we sandwich some moments of
maybe some moments in between to do that, or maybe once a week revisit let's revisit and see what we have done in the entire week, or where we have reached in the unit, what all we are supposed to be doing. Could be that. And it has to be done in class because they will never do it on their own.
So I could add to a point which I've observed with my team members in the past, is that you could start journaling not related to art itself. Something, you know, when we talk of the kind of journals that Nia had mentioned in the beginning, the gratitude journaling, the nature journaling, that could be a part of your art journal itself, where you could give them a starter with that. Whatever you observe in your surroundings, something that you felt good about, maybe a Netflix series that you felt good about, write about that. Draw a picture about something that you observed in a series, something in a cricket match that you liked, something that you disliked. How did you feel when your friend did not agree to what you said? A little word around there, sometimes a little picture, sometimes for them also, even the senior students can start with sticking up stuff. That doesn't make a difference. These could just be starters. Yeah, these could just be starters. So once they are into a habit with starters, I think the process already flows. Also, another thing that has helped, with team members in the past is that when you talk of formative assessments in art, formative assessments are not formal assessments as such. So you could make these art journals a part where you tell them that you've been assessing them on their work. This is a feedback or a reflection you could add on to their journal. So have your feedback sticks, sticky notes kind of a thing, put it in their journal as a part of it. So when they're recording it, they also see the improvement, how the teacher has commented on it. That really helps them move on to the next levels.
Yeah. Thank you. I also have one more question, and then I'm gonna let the others. Do the students write in the journals what they're learning in class? Like, for example, if I'm presenting something, we have a class discussion, and they're learning about, I don't know, let's say tattoos. Do they write that particular information which I'm teaching, so they didn't necessarily research it in the journal, or do they have a separate note-taking space?
They can have the note-taking space in the journal as well. That it is
Okay.
not a taboo. They can have that, and they can have their own conclusion from that in their own words. What did they actually learn and understand through all the information that you provided them with? And they can deeper it with doing further research into it.
Okay, that helps me a lot. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think there was one more question that we can take up now, keeping the time constraint in mind. Somebody says that if students are not good in imagination, then are they allowed to use photographs? I have mentioned that only to begin with they could do it.
Only to begin with. Only to
Yeah.
begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Janvi says that you could make your own art journal and that could serve as an
Correct.
inspiration for them. Right. Absolutely,
Right.
Janvi.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. So I think this is a forum where we can go on discussing and discussing. However, keeping in mind the time constraint, we would call this to an end for right now. However, we'll keep meeting, we'll keep chatting. We have our WhatsApp groups that you can join with. Please write back on our Journal Foundation email ID to get to know what's happening next. If you wish to contribute to any of the webinars, workshops, please feel free to write back to us. We'll all, along with the recording on your email, we'll also share with you the Google review link. I really wish to get some responses out there. That is a big motivation factor for all of us to keep pushing ourselves to organize more and more such sessions and to keep increasing the community. Thank you everyone for your time. Nia, I think this was really wonderful. Whenever I get to attend your session, there are so many inputs that I take back with me and I keep sharing with people. So thanks for helping out at every point, with the idea of Art Journal Foundation. And that's what Art Journal Foundation exists. Create everything, focusing on the process. It's the process that makes a difference. So with all of this, we'll call this to an end. Have a great evening, great day, whatever part of the world you are. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye.